Hello and you're very welcome back to the Irish Independence League of Ireland review video, joined by Dan McDonnell live from Eamon DC Park. Dan, I suppose there's, like every Friday night, there's so many talking points out of tonight, but one of the main lines, I suppose, is the leaders extend their lead at the top by another 2 points. That's now 11 points clear with 12 games left. A big 3 points tonight against Waterford on a night where Bohs and Drogheda were second and third coming into tonight, and they both dropped points too.
Yeah, no, I think that is the main, it's the main football story out tonight. I'm down here sort of watching Galway and Shells, and sort of still a lot of curiosity about the Damien Duff situation, the Moses Dyer situation, and we can come to that. But yeah, I mean, the top line here is that after Monday, I suppose people were giddy about maybe a title race of sorts, but ultimately, you know, Shamrock Rovers have gained 2 points on Bohs tonight. I know Derry have now jumped up to second, and they're obviously a form story. But I think in some respects, Rovers have won. I know. Following your reports, Waterford had their moments in the game, but I guess you'd expect them to win. I think Bohs, if they're going to step up, you have to just beat a relegation-threatened team at home. And while Owen Elding has scored an incredible goal, and Bohs did miss several sitters by all accounts. I suppose the league table is unforgiving of these things. You just have to probably clinically, if you're going to challenge Shamrock Rovers, you have to go on a run and sort of clinically win those matches. So I saw the post-match scenes at Bohs. I think Devoy hit the crossbar in the last minute. Players throwing themselves on the ground in frustration, like they knew they haven't done what they needed to do after Monday.
I know Alan Reynolds has spoken before about the game after they play Shamrock Rovers. He's hoping for similar levels, but as you said there, they'll be kicking themselves after dropping those points tonight. And if you have not seen that Owen Elding goal, go on social media, absolute cracker. But Dan, I suppose just Shamrock Rovers wise, as I said, this was heading towards a stalemate. Waterford, 2 big chances in the first half to open the score, and Tommy Lonergan are going to be really disappointed not to square it to Power Gammond before the break. But it all came down to big moments, goalkeeping error, Stephen McMullen completely spilling Danny Mandrew's shot, and Rory Gaffney was there didn't start. Stephen Bradley talking after about how, I know Rory Gaffney, he was frustrated not to start. He wants to be starting every game. But he's been scoring a couple of big goals for Shamrock Rovers, and in a couple of months' time, they may look back on tonight as a massive turning point, just with those other results in mind.
Yeah, I assume so. I mean, look, they just needed to win and do their bit. That's the thing. You win leagues by not producing the odd brilliant performance. You sort of win the league straightly obvious by sort of just winning more games than everybody else. So is that Bohs' first draw of the season as well? I mean, that is actually maybe that's the headline from tonight, but of all the time to produce one.
Just looking at the other results, Dan, you mentioned Cork City there. I know you're at MDC Park, but fan protests before the game, more banners related to Dermot Usher. I think I saw toilet paper being thrown at the pitch there. Football-wise, you'd say that's a decent point for them against St. Pat's, but St. Pat's their winless run continues, and I know Cork City missed a big chance in the first half, but that's two sides who really needed to win, but Cork City probably be happier with the point.
Yeah, you'd assume so. It seems like the protests were bad or sort of vociferous early on, and then in the second half it was more about the football. I see Stephen Kenny seems to be saying he wasn't happy. I know in recent weeks he's probably been putting a positive slant on performances and some bad results. I think tonight it seems more like he's unhappy with their second half showing. And I'll be honest, I did expect them to go and win that game. And then they play Bohs next week, and certainly the atmosphere around Richmond Park will be they'll be pressurised, I would say. But yeah, I mean, the race at the bottom is the thing. I mean, that Bohemians, from a perspective, we're talking about Bohs not taking 3 points, but the flip side of that is that Sligo Rovers were so close to 3 points until they concede late on, and they've been clawed back, and Cork City have dug in for a point to, they haven't lost any ground. I don't know where people shouting scores at them, or certainly anyway, Cork City fans would have been looking at that Dalymount Park score across the evening and going, "Oh no, like this is bad." But at the end, I guess they'll take the position they're in relative to where they were at 9 o'clock, I suppose.
Dan, just on your game out west, it's now 2 draws in a row since Damien Duff resigned last Sunday. And I know just from following your updates, Mipo Odebeko will be disappointed to miss a few chances here.
It's unbelievable. Mipo was like, I was at that game when Romelu Lukaku played for Belgium against Croatia in the World Cup in Qatar, and he came off the bench late and could have scored around 6 goals. He didn't score any. Mipo did score in the first half here, but it's one of these performances where it's like, to keep getting into the positions is like fantastic. You know, Joey O'Brien said he was unplayable at times in the first half, which he was. But he just couldn't. I mean, he scored, but then he missed 2 really good chances, and at least 2 really good chances. And then Connor Cairns under a bit of pressure, but look, I think Joey O'Brien has just called it a howler. And Galway have sort of got a point from a game that it didn't look likely. No Moses Dyer, club not speaking specifically about it, but speaking generally about the subject of buyout clauses and why sometimes you have to agree with them. I'll have some stuff from that on the website in the morning. Also, Joey O'Brien speaking about Damien Duff, his forever friend, and some conversations that they've. The fact that they're still talking after everything that's been going on.
Dan, just the final result tonight. Derry up to second, and it feels kind of wrong to be coming to them last, but there's just so many talking points. 3-0 winners against Drogheda, and that's Tiernan Lynch's side in a good run of form the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's been 3 in a row for Derry. They've come out of the break in the type of run that Shells or St. Pat's would have been targeted. You know, they're the team that's done it, and I think that's what they need, is just a routine win tonight. I saw some of the stats; it seemed like they were quite dominant. So, just a routine 3 points. And rack them up and on they go. And I mean, they are in second. They have to try and look upwards, I guess. They're 11 points behind, two games in hand, and just see where it takes them. We should say briefly, Dundalk did win the game at the top of the first division against Cove Ramblers. That was the big game. Cove were within 1 point. Dundalk win and extend their lead to 4.
Well, Dan, that's great. Thanks for that. Safe home from DC Park tonight. You can follow all the latest League of Ireland updates and reaction across the weekend with the Irish Independent.